Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Riggs Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you from the home of an amazing farm, the Dervaes family, in Pasadena, California. And ladies and gentlemen, here is that wondrous family, the Dervaeses. And starting from the left with Jordan, Anise in the middle, and Justin on the right. This family has been one of the most amazing families that I have ever heard of, because what they've accomplished here on this small plot of land is absolutely outstanding. And I think this family leads the way to show us all how to live better in this world today. And we can do so much more with so much less, because what these guys do on 1/10 of an acre in their backyard is produce an amazing amount of food. These three individuals make a living and grow their food off of 1/10 of an acre, as I understand everything but the grain products. Yeah. So in the record harvest here off of 1/10 of an acre was 7,000 pounds of food. Now they haven't been weighing it since 2010, but they had a couple of years that they actually produced 6,000 pounds. So it's been amazing. There was a family of four. Their father just passed away a couple of years ago. And Jules Dervaes, who is an awesome individual. I had the pleasure of meeting him with his family here approximately 9 years ago. That was an amazing thing. I felt like I was in a spiritual revival, given the way this family does things and the philosophies they have and how content they are with what they have, which is the real true means that for seeking and getting happiness and contentment is to be able to be happy with what you have, without always having to seek beyond that. And these guys, they really set the record for that. They set the bar that many of us should be trying to aspire toward. So now I got them all blushing.
We got good days and bad days.
We all do. We're all human.
I'll be honest.
We're all human. So I'm going to start from left to right with Jordan. And tell us, Jordan, what is your roles and responsibilities in this farm?
It changes constantly. We always have different hats that we're putting on. Ever since our father died, we've now gone into more of like the leadership role, what he used to have to deal with, like the media.
Oh yeah.
and you know, like direction and goals. My passion is with the holistic farm animal care. So like the chickens and the ducks and the goats. Holistic care of them, how to do it in a small environment, how to do it sustainably and holistically. Also kind of gone a little bit more into the media presence, which I do. I'm the digital geek over here, so it's website and everything. And just generally, I guess, dealing with the customers, more of like trying to sell what Justin grows. And
website maintenance, upkeep, it's a massive website.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the short version.
Very nice. Short is good enough. Mm-hmm. Anise, tell us about yourself and what you do here.
Yeah, so again, I wear many hats, but I'll keep it short. I do a lot of the cooking. I do for the farm boxes. I make like soups and things like that, and also sell some of the soups to other people. I'm also part, because we started a nonprofit now, I'm head of the educational outreach program, so sort of handling the volunteers, and am handling like the volunteers that are coming in, and then the kids, so we have school groups coming in, scouts groups coming in, so I handle that, the education, so we get them booked, and then Jordy and I and Justin, whatever, we give the tour, so I'm just like basically managing that, and then the events, the workshops, putting people in canning, making jam, so a lot of things, and keeping the household running.
So you're basically the processor of the food and the carrier of the torch to make other people inspired to do the kind of things you do.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I mentioned
Jordan. She does it online.
She does too.
She does it online, and you do it here in the
but I mean, like
kitchen.
just last week we were making pies. There's still flour on this table, so
awesome.
We'll team.
This is a real working location.
Yeah, like I said, we just switch roles constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Justin, I take it you're the primary farmer then?
Yes, I'm trying. I try to do a little bit of everything. I can't do it without my sisters helping out, definitely. I do a lot of the planting, organizing the farm box program. We work with a couple other farms to do our CSA program. Oh, yeah. So just managing everything like that. We're up to 80 families right now. We have 20 people on the waiting list. We also have a country club, a caterer, and a private chef. I pick, pack, and deliver those orders. Edible flowers, the salad mix is our cash crop. And in summer, it's tomatoes, peppers, and stuff like that. So it's I wear a lot of hats too. I don't know what. I lost track of
What do you do? Like,
No, you answered about 3 or 4 questions.
they're
Like,
all-
what's your main cash crop? So you say that. So it's
Yeah, I was
salad
trying
mixes
to figure it out. Like
most of the year, and tomatoes and peppers in the
And
summer.
yeah, our salad mixes are what is what we're famous for. We get about $1 an ounce. So although we talked about our poundage has remained consistent. We haven't weighed in a while, but we have increased our sales. So,
Oh, that's good.
Like salad mix, it takes a lot to make a salad mix.
Oh, yeah.
But it's $1 an ounce versus, let's say we had like
Well, so what
the
do
other
we,
day we harvested one Jerusalem artichoke plant, sunchoke, 45 pounds from one plant. Which is great, but the market for sunchokes is not
but
there.
what was that one week you said? You like when you gave it a tour? Was
Oh,
it
yeah.
one?
One day last December, it was $250 worth of salad
So
in
that's
one
250
day.
pounds.
No, 250 ounces.
250 ounces, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
250
a lot.
ounces of
Yeah.
salad in one day, and it was like it was incredible. It was like okay, so the dollars went up, the poundage may have gone down a little bit. But
Well, hey, you got to make money. That's
yeah, a lot of people.
if you're making a living, that's a
we're
requirement.
still here. We're still here.
A
So.
lot of people don't, it's now not production farm, but we plant what our clients need. So we're still feeding ourselves, but
Oh, yeah.
like you don't need. Personally, we don't need 50 plants of basil. It's
So this is a combination
Yes.
market garden
Exactly.
and personal garden.
Yeah.
So it's
direct
always
and indirect
yeah,
self-sufficiency.
it's always juggling things. Every winter, everything we also have to re-landscape or rethink things.
Yeah.
We just took out some plants that were growing too well,
Yeah.
and we're taking out some plants that didn't grow well enough, or we can't sell. So it's kind of it's
So
sort
it's
of
a constant
Constant
adjustment,
change,
and probably the market changes as you
Yes.
go along. I know one time y'all were growing a lot of flowers to add to your salads. Do you still do
we
that?
had a lot of we started in the edible flower
And then it
business.
came.
In 92, I believe.
92, 93, so we've been in business a long time. But
Do you still do edible
Yeah,
flowers?
But so the story goes, we started with the local paper had an article about edible flowers, and Dad
Hit up
and
a
the
t-shirt.
girls had planted wildflowers in the front yard, and it was covered in nasturtiums.
Ah.
People buy this stuff.
And it says, we use edible flowers like nasturtium, and it was loads of tea shop, and it said, so the
Look out
girls
the
went
yard,
down
like
there,
people buy this.
and it's like one of these older pictures here.
Oh, look,
And it
doesn't
had-
move.
It had the wildflowers in the front.
That was old. That was about 1992.
Wow.
So we had all the El Nino came.
Yeah, so we called them up and said, hey, we have the flowers, would you want some? And they said, sure. So that was our start of our business. So
You started your business from wildflowers?
No, the
Yeah,
edible
basically,
flowers,
yeah.
yeah. So we called them up. That was our first thing. We said, hey, you buy nasturtium? And they're like, sure. And we were like, well,
We had to learn how to pack.
we're just like right down the road from
Oh,
you.
wow.
Yeah, would you buy our stuff? And they're like, sure. And so that was basically started the
started the
business.
business,
So,
and that- yeah.
so we've been in business since like 1992.
We would sell
Yeah.
So
thousands of flowers.
then we saw that market. So then we cold called or dropped out samples, and we picked up a couple
Big
clients, and one of them we're still selling to 25 years later.
Yeah.
Still
They're
are.
still our
Wow.
customer, and they're now bought by a corporation, but the
We've
original.
seen many chefs go through there.
That's my toughest problem. Of course, I have a day job, and so I find it's hard to meet with the chefs because their schedules are so chaotic, and they've been known to have a little bit of an ego sometimes.
.com boom and bust happened, so
About 2000.
2,000 restaurants went out of business.
Oh yeah.
They cut out
Surplus,
excess, flowers are wet, excess.
Yeah.
So we got hit because we're a small production.
Yeah.
So then we started going into more
Heirloom,
of
heritage.
heirloom and growing,
Tomatoes.
exotic veggies, kept our business going, and suddenly, as of 2 years ago, everybody's calling for edible flowers
It's
again,
now
and we
hit.
have to plant them all over
Oh, that's
again.
funny. So it
went from
ebbs
like,
and
let's say
flows.
100% edible flowers to some years it was 25%
We would give
edible.
it away.
You had 100% edible
No,
flowers?
that was our business, selling edible flowers.
Oh, my.
It was 100%.
That's
That's
how
how,
we
started
we started.
out.
Like
Yeah,
100%.
right.
Then we added in veggies.
Yeah,
And herbs.
But then it diversified because you
Yeah.
said you have to diversify or you die.
See, I cover wild edibles in my channel.
Oh, yeah,
It's more as a prepping type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And so the idea that y'all started with wild plants, that's just amazing.
Well, it's a thing now, but now it's a thing. There's more and more people wanting to do like the wild crafting and stuff like that. So because, and we do that too sometimes. Well, actually, like the elderflower, the elderberries. We have wild ones. Of course, you have to harvest responsible. You know, you don't want to take out and leave some for the birds, because I've seen where I've actually gone down to the Arroyo Seco, and the elderberries are all picked clean, and I'm like, oh my, you didn't leave anything for the animals. So yeah.
Those things just invaded my place. First it was blackberries, and now it's elderberries.
I think you might have a little more water than we do.
Grow like weeds where I'm at. They pop up everywhere. That's great.
We go harvest the nettles and make nettle pesto.
Yeah, so we sell that in the farm.
Sell that in the farm boxes. So you get the wild stuff, you make
the nettle pestos.
You make wild harvest, make something, and people buy it.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Hey, look, you know, that's taking advantage and leverage of things, and you don't have to put the labor in that to grow it at least.
Yeah, we don't have the land to grow everything. So
no.
Yeah. It's like I hear people talk about how to do things that take effect or leverage like that, like bees. You know, bees just take a small area to put down the hives to maintain them, but they're covering the whole countryside, and they're gathering and foraging. So that's one way to take advantage of space.
Especially, they fly 3, 4, 5 miles. That's right. Dad he caught his first swarm in New Zealand, and he had a small plot of land. He said, well, how do you maximize production? The bees forage around, even though it's on a small property. You know?
So as background, for those that don't know, their father, Jules Dervaes, was in New Zealand as a beekeeper.
Yeah, so it's a story in that. So in '69, my dad graduated from college, and then that was a time in America where there was, assassinations and war and things like that. So he started looking for an alternative way of life and living, and so he started reading Mother Earth magazine, and so he immigrated to New Zealand and he started a homestead there. So he had bees, he had a garden, he had goats. So he went to, he traveled New Zealand to find where he wanted to live, and so they landed on the North Island. They traveled that, and they went down to the South Island, West Coast. That was too crowded, Dad said. So they went to the West Coast, and he started traveling down, and they found this old gold mining town with population 1. So when my parents went there,
he's like, not crowded.
They tripled the population, and then when I was born, I quadrupled the population, and they said that I was the first child to be born there.
So you were born in New Zealand?
Yeah, so that valley in 100 years. And so actually when we went back to New Zealand in 2009, they kind of followed up on the family that was,
front page news.
Yeah, we're front page news.
Of the little
first born in 100 years. Hey, that's the kind of place I like. I lived 100 miles from the nearest red light once in Alaska.
So that's what I said. Dad homesteaded there, and I am a citizen of, I have dual citizenship. So, and then after, we did there 2 years. I don't remember, because I joked to my dad, I was like, you should have stayed there. I don't have an accent, but, so then he went back to Florida where he was from, and had 10 acres there, and that's where
40 beehives.
Dad, he had bees, goats, had a large garden. That's another picture I think we have us as kids. There's like
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, I call it Children of the Corn. It's like corn that's like, must have been like 15 feet high or so, and we're sitting.
You were just a little kid though.
We were little kids, so we're cute. But the ears I remember were like this big, that around, and I'd go in there and eat them raw. So and then and then Dad came out to Pasadena in '84 to come to theology school, and then it was interesting that he came out to sort of just do good and help people, and actually
I felt like I was at a religious revival.
Yeah, but this became our ministry. So like
he was
ministry of food,
and then
of growing food, being sustainable, and taking care of the planet. So
it is. I'm kind of working up a concept for a habitat that you can live in, make a living out of, and grow your food out. And you guys were the inspiration for me to basically base it on a 1/10 of an acre.
Yay.
But I'm growing on the roof in this system. So I'm trying to maximize use of space, thermal mass. It's kind of like an Earthship on steroids, except I'm not using the Earthship design. I'm using a lot of thermal mass.
Amazing. That would be nice.
But they have a little bitty greenhouse on one side. It's just not enough food growing area. And of course, you can't use his design without going through the creator of that.
Well, it's also about making, one of the things about what we did is what we had.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I want 10 acres and I want to build my own house and have it, you know, perfectly done, rammed off the thing. But it's like, well, I don't have that opportunity right now. So
We have a 1970
we have
house.
an old house. So how best can you be sustainable with what you have? And
That's
so that's
what
kind of
you-
like our focus has always been. People are like, well, I want to do this, and it's like, that's great. I know you live in an apartment, but you can do this. You can do something. Small steps have big impact, and that's pretty much what we try to, you know,
That's
base
what I
a lot
admire
of
about your
our
family.
education around.
Yeah.
And I tell people when we do our classes, a lot of people doing small actions is almost more powerful than like somebody going out 10 acres and doing an earth chip. Now that's great, but a lot of people having, you know, living in their garden, you know, apartment and just doing one little thing or supporting your local farm is more powerful.
But yeah, because 80% of us live in cities,
Yeah.
so
Well,
we
I-
all
yeah.
can't live in 5-10 acres, which would be
Bingo.
amazing.
In California
I love it.
particularly.
Yeah.
But you can grow a lot of food actually inside your house. I'm growing microgreens in my house.
Yeah.
And I've done videos on that. And you know, I've shot a video standing over the hills here of LA, and basically I was telling this video, I have not posted it up yet, but I was saying that, you know, we have 20 million people here in this basin. You get an earthquake, there's no way in or out. Nothing's getting in and out of this city. And earthquake, or there's other, you know, power grid down would be catastrophic here. And the best way to help offset that would be for as many of these people to grow their own food as they can. And you guys are the leading example for how that can be done. Right here in the middle of Los Angeles, these people grow all the food they need practically, except the grain
There
products.
was a windstorm. When was the windstorm in Pasadena?
2010.
2010, there was this massive windstorm and it pretty much actually knocked out power in Pasadena for 3 days. People were like almost on the verge of rioting because they just didn't have electricity. Like
3 days.
3 days electricity, I mean,
I do videos on power grid down because I chaired 2 power grid defense conferences.
that's
And
awesome.
people don't realize how vulnerable.
Yeah. I mean, it was
our
just a
power grid
wind
is.
got knocked out the power grid.
Yeah, I mean,
and
so the-
people were like almost melting down, freaking out.
But the story goes is like they had their survival stuff in their garage. But the garage door opener was powered by electricity.
Yeah, they can't get it.
There was no override.
So it was just, you don't think about it until the power's not there. And they said, well, their survival supplies were in the garage, but they
Oh.
couldn't get to it because the
That's
garage
when you take a hatchet.
People just don't realize how dependent they are on power and the way they live. And I think it's funny you brought that up because, yeah, we lived through that.
The natural gas heating or cooking, but it's electric pilot or electric
Right.
thing. And he said, well, they had natural gas, so the power's out, but great, we have gas. But
Oh, and
no.
also, and nobody has landlines
Yeah.
anymore. It's all
No.
cell phones.
Yeah.
You know, we keep a landline. My dad, my mother's from family is from New Orleans. So dad went to school there. That's where he met my mother. And when Hurricane Katrina happened, we went back in to help family.
Oh, wow.
And this was before cell phones are probably so prevalent now, and people were like leaving messages on the wall to try to find people and on sides of roads.
So y'all were there for the Katrina disaster?
Yeah, the second. We came in after.
After, but
like,
y'all saw.
On the
Yeah,
ground.
we were
Everything.
It was on the ground.
Actually, we were 45 days after the water had receded, and we were the first
Civilians.
civilian train in on
Amtrak.
Amtrak, because we went in an Amtrak. We were the first train with civilians in. They first did a run to see if they could even get there with the staff, and then we were the first train in with the civilians. So it was pretty.
I hear your ducks.
It was a bit chattering.
They're talking to us.
Yeah, they like to chatter.
Yeah, that was a learning experience
But
because
just to see how a first world country could just go that
first world city, first world country just went.
Well, yeah, that was such a catastrophic thing, and how that things degenerated so quickly there. A lot of people just take for granted that everything will be the same. And now California is facing all their problems with PG&E.
Wildfire.
Yeah, we've had so many friends. The wildflowers up in
Yeah.
Some look at wildflowers. Wildfires up in Northern California are devastating. We had a friend who lost everything last year. It's just scary stuff.
But in Paradise City or something?
Yeah, he was in Paradise City. Yep.
What do you think caused those fires?
I don't know. That's
I think
the whole thing, but
they're
it's
blaming
just,
the grid or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's just sad. I don't know. I mean,
It doesn't
you can go
matter.
on
I mean,
about
we're
it.
encroaching on nature. Nature is encroaching. You know, it's
Yeah.
unsustainable.
Yeah.
The growth of California.
Yeah, it
And,
is.
at some point that has to be addressed.
We all need to change the way we live, and that's why I took upon myself to try to come up with a habitat concept.
Yeah,
I think you guys will love this idea. I'll run it by
Have you
you.
driven through like downtown LA? You've seen the homeless encampments. I mean,
Yeah.
the living, I mean, you know, the cost of living is skyrocketing. I think they said you need to live happily and comfortably in Los Angeles, you need to make $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
There's
That is
nobody
insane.
on all level making.
So that's the number, $250,000.
That's what they said.
That's what that was like
That
an
was an
estimate.
article
To
that
be
came out.
comfortable and not stressed all the time, you have to make $250,000
Oh, that's insane.
a year just to live in Los Angeles, just to survive in Los Angeles, have a home,
Yeah.
go to work, and feed your family.
That's downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
The rent is, the real estate market's crazy.
So no, I mean like people our ages, they're like we can't afford to live. Where's the the American dream? You know, your little house and your family. So we've kind of got a little bit after Dad passed away. You know, we have rooms in the house. We've gotten a little more into co-housing, where it's like they call it re-villaging.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
It's a kind of a term now. It's re-villaging, so
Yeah.
it's bringing people together. So a lot of we have each other, but a lot of people we know live by themselves and they're alone and they don't know what it's kind of a lonely existence here and you're struggling. So we rent out rooms in our house and now got a little bit more into co-housing, creating a little village of people, and sometimes we'll have like dinners and everybody just joins
Oh,
in.
that's nice.
So people feel like they come home to a family and it's nice.
That's nice. That's
It
nice.
helps, the extra hands help, the extra pair of hands and stuff like that. In our volunteer program, we've been through we have a core group of about a dozen that come in.
Yeah, we have a lot of volunteers now coming in and
volunteer
working
program.
from. It's always a nice
That's
Yeah, I told our volunteers, because they come in thinking that, I kind of interview them, just get a face-to-face after they fill out the form. And then, I said, okay, you're going to work here for a couple hours. And then I said, you go home with produce. They look at me and I'm like, well, you're giving the gift of time and we're giving the gift of produce. Our food is our currency. And so
Yeah.
in exchange, you have a time
They
exchange. we
volunteer,
give-
but they get
And they're
something.
just so thrilled. They're like, oh, I didn't expect it. But we're like, yeah, you won't go hungry here. That I will make sure you don't go hungry.
You never go
So,
hungry.
it's
We'll probably feed you and feed you and keep feeding you.
Yeah, so.
So in your salad mixes, what's your primary constituent crops? What currently is the best sellers?
Salad mix is number one because dollar value and the mix, because if somebody wanted, let's say, 20 pounds of lettuce, it's hard sometimes, but if you do 20 pounds of salad mix, it can be 10 pounds of lettuce, 5 pounds of arugula, mix and match.
Now, what are the best things to mix and match right now?
A
What's most popular?
salad, the lettuce, kale, mustard, arugula,
You have the little-
endive.
He does it baby kale.
Gotcha.
Baby what?
Baby kale, like it's
Baby kale, okay,
Yeah, it's
okay,
like it's
gotcha.
a very delicate.
It's
Right.
above
cut.
micro. It's
Yeah.
above micro, but the
Below.
bunching is too big. So there's a balance. If it's
So you just harvested early or
yeah,
what?
and then we get 3 or 4 cuts from it, and then we turn it over and start over again. So we don't grow carrots.
Well, we also
just-
get innovative. So when he's growing the salad, he'll cut the above microgreens, that little delicate baby greens. But at some point, sometimes it gets too big. So then we're like, well, we can't put this in salad. So we created what we call the saute mix. So we bunch like a salad in a big bunch,
Yeah.
sell that to people, and they make it into saute.
Saute, or
So we're just
stir fry.
working with the different levels of what we have
Because
available.
sometimes people don't want to buy a bunch of kale, a bunch of Swiss chard, a bunch of mustard. We put it all in one bunch and call it saute mix. So for
That's
them,
good. They love
it
that.
saves instead of buying 3 bunches of
Different
things.
greens.
and
So you
for
have a
single-
separate saute mix versus a salad mix.
Saute mix is like
It's more like
bigger
a bunch.
greens. It's a little bit more hardier, woodier.
Yeah,
A
like
bunch
for
of-
chopping up and sauteing.
Or
Or
juicing,
Yeah, yeah.
or juicing,
Or juicing,
or
yeah.
juicing, whatever. But we have a salad mix like a size, If depending on the weather, I'll have a mix from this to this, and if it gets this big, then it's too big, to go on the salad mix. Too woody, too leggy, too.
So we did save that for seed.
Yeah, or saute mix. Or
Yeah, and
It
I
goes
guess
as well. Go saute mix, and then if it gets really too big, then it goes to the animal greens.
Now do y'all produce your own seed here and replant or?
We have a lot of volunteer. The nasturtiums come back every year. The purple goosefoot come back every year. The New Zealand spinach come back every year. So if I don't actually collect the seeds, harvest it, bag it, sort of like that. Yeah, the Tramasino's ours. The lot of collect
Well,
the
you have
lettuce.
not bought a single Drew's a lot of joking like years.
Yeah, I hear they're notorious for
But,
spreading
yeah,
around.
so, the New Zealand spruce, a lot of the stuff in the front yard is kind of just self-sown. But, and then the second most profitable crop is probably the herbs, right?
Yeah, we've been in business long enough, we know what sells, what doesn't, what we can grow,
Yeah.
and what we could sell. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes away the excitement of experimenting with some things because you don't have the space. But occasionally we try, moringa or try some exotic things. Sometimes it works, sometimes
What did we have new last year, Dennis?
one time it was like the toothache plant.
Oh,
Years
yeah,
ago
no,
we grew a toothache
yeah.
plant, splantes, the stuff, and it was crazy.
Did you feed 'em?
As
I did feed them.
as kids, it was like fun to grow. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, a bartender calls up and said, "I want this splantes." I said,
Buzzberry.
Buzzberry, whatever it's called.
like,
Buzzberry, what is that?
I googled it
So
and it
it's
said
like-
Oh, really? Toothache plant?
toothache plant. I said we couldn't give that stuff away, so now we're back in the toothache business, toothache plant business.
Well,
so
now
we
it's
grew
Buzzberry.
Buzzberry, whatever you call it.
Because they put it in their, like, cocktails.
They put in a cocktail, it numbs your mouth, so it's like a
Like a
hipster
hipster
thing.
thing.
And it's called a what? Toothberry?
Toothache plant.
Toothache plant.
But,
Toothache plant. What is that?
well, you chew it and it
It's
numbs your
for-
mouth.
Yeah, but what is the toothache plant? What is it?
Splantes
It's called
is the
splantes.
Latin name, Spilanthes.
Do you have some?
It's too cold, but I'm growing some. I have the seeds. They don't like the cold weather, but
So
the
yeah, we do it in the
summertime.
summertime. So you chew it and
Do you
numbs
sell
your mouth.
seeds? I might buy some from you.
You chew it and numbs your mouth. It's like you eat the flour and it numbs your mouth.
Yeah.
So we did it for fun, just to have fun with it. Nobody wants it. Now it's a thing in downtown LA, the fancy cocktails, is to put it in alcohol.
But they call them buzzberry.
They call it buzzberry. So
Because
when the
they
young
little-
hipsters drink their alcohol, they bite it to the end. They get extra buzz because
Oh my
alcohol
gosh.
doesn't buzz your
Ah,
mouth, right?
so toothache berry and buzzberry is one and the same.
Yeah. So when they called us, they said, "Do you have buzzberries?" We're like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
So
It's just one of
That sounds like it could be a real marketable item. That might be just by mentioning this, you probably just set a trend.
I know,
it was
right?
already
Now it's
trending.
like, it is a trend in LA. I don't know about the rest of the nation, but
I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's like you said, the edible flowers we started with, and then for a couple of years we couldn't literally give them away. They're edible, but it's hard to eat a bowl of.
Oh yeah, you must
Yeah,
want something else.
Yeah, you need some substance. So, like I said, we started with the edible flowers, and then now I was down maybe 25% of our sales, and then maybe back up to 50%.
50% now.
Yeah, dollar wise. Like
Is edible flowers.
Yeah,
Wow.
so-
because then you can
Dollar-wise-
have a high market price on it.
Yeah, it's cut and come again. It's multiple picking.
Oh, that's great. Cut and come again,
It
multiple
keeps going,
pickings.
yeah.
That makes it easy to manage. And
And
so
the return on investment on nasturtium seeds, there's no investment. They're bought.
hey, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We sell. We put in a
The
box,
only
charge
thing is, it's
15
like
bucks.
picking is the only
The labor in the clamshell,
Yeah.
packing it. So that's our, we
the
also-
coolest thing is we went from probably delivering a lot of our produce to now it's all pickup.
Yeah.
That's better.
So we don't even spend into the card.
Wow,
It's like
that's
the
idea.
restaurant sends the delivery, the shopping
Private
guy out to
chefs
get it.
drop
Yeah,
it
private
off.
chefs pick it up. All the
Bartender
families
with it.
pick it up. So we're just
Now,
like,
and the
this
farm
is cool.
box, all of the customers pick it up. So yeah,
We
they
just
come
put
to
all
us.
the boxes out on the porch
Yeah.
and say, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So
That's where everybody would like to be.
Yeah, you have to adapt or you die, in a small business. So we had the front porch farm stand, then we had the hootenannies, we had farm dinners, and then now for the past 7 years we've done a CSA farm box program. It's fully automated, fully customized. The software is great. Everybody can,
What
each box is
CSA
different.
software do you use?
Local Harvest, CSA Ware. So it's auto billing, everything.
There's a plug.
Shopping
they can
cart.
tell us.
Yeah.
We plug them. They give
Who's
us a little
this?
discount. No.
Say again.
I said we plug them. They can give us a little discount.
Oh.
So it costs about $100 a month to do the accounting software. It's like accounting shopping cart software, and we publish what's available every week. People log into their account, add, subtract what they want
In
or
their
don't want to
boxes.
their box.
Right. So unlike most
Oh.
CSAs, we just don't give you a box and say, here, you deal with it. Find something to cook.
So they can pick
They
and choose
select
what's
what they
available.
It's
want.
more work, but it's happier customers.
Oh,
More-
yeah, that's
and a lot
awesome.
of the people, here's the thing. So especially in Los Angeles, we have a lot of people who have citrus in their yard, or they're actually growing food too. So what's great about this one is if they're growing tomatoes in their yard, they don't have to
Order.
they don't have to order tomatoes. So it's customizable, so food's not going to
Bingo.
waste. So it's actually, it's more work, but it's a little bit smarter because with people they say I don't want citrus because I have it in my backyard.
Yeah,
It's like
I got
that's
too much
great.
citrus, yeah.
So I'm not. Why should we give them citrus? You know, if they have it. And then what's nice about it is it's like a cooperative now.
It's a multi-farm
We
CSA.
partner with 2 to 3 other local farms, and so they think it's great because we have like the distribution point.
And the 30 years of business.
And the 30 years with all the paperwork and stuff. And so what they do is there's a farm that's starting off, and they're like, this is great because you're selling the stuff that we can grow. We don't have to have the hassle and the headache. I'm like, yeah. It makes more sense.
Yeah,
so we're
the family was like, what can we grow? And Justin was like, grow me kale.
Yeah,
he was like,
so-
oh, cool.
So here's the thing.
That's
So
awesome.
now we're supporting each other. So it's like now we're a cooperative. It's like a local farm cooperative,
Economy.
and our food artisans. So we support. We have a bread baker and hopefully find us.
Well, I don't know if it's still on the porch, but if you had walked up to the porch, there's like 2 boxes of pomegranates. We didn't grow those. Somebody had them and said, I like to, get rid of them. So we said, okay, let us know how
Oh,
much
cool.
you have. We give them a little bit of money. We put them on the farm box list that went out Sunday, and people will buy them. So
Yeah.
she gets a little money, and she gets her tree picked. And
And we offer more selection, so
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
get quite boring. Growing, there's a limited space.
Oh, yeah.
So we have like a farm that does peaches, specializes in peaches. They have 100 acres of peaches, or a 100-year-old farm of peaches. So it's like, hey, we don't have it, so we'll just buy from them. We offer it to another farm about a mile or 2 away. They grow carrots. I just don't feel it's profitable for me to grow carrots.
Well, because it's a small space.
It's
you
one
can
and-
take it
one
out.
and-
one and
one
done.
and done.
We call it
Yeah.
one and done.
so
yeah.
they grow all carrots.
They grow carrots, so they'll buy carrots from them. Or they'll have to.
So find one and done for the gentleman.
It's one and done. So you plant it, you pick the carrot,
gone.
it's gone. It's
Yeah,
like,
so you
I gotta wait
like
another-
to cut and come again
yes,
better.
cut and come again is
I knew what you meant, but don't people on my show might not
For
know.
small properties, it's
we just have these.
small
We
properties.
have we have these cute little sayings. One and done, cut and come. And,
One and done.
Chop and drop.
chop and drop.
One and done. What? Say that rhyme again.
We said what cut and come, one and done, and chop and drop. Chop and drop. Yeah. So
Chop and drop.
Yeah. So it's just like basically composting in place. So we have these.
Yeah. Okay. Compost in place.
Yeah.
People
so
think they have
lingo.
to clean out the raised bed of all the debris, put it in the compost pile, and then compost it, and then bring it back. We're like, screw that, turn it over, compost it. These are the sheep.
We're very uncomplicated.
Well, you got to save labor definitely, and that helps control weeds too.
Yeah.
So you're
It's a
killing 2
living
stones with 1 bird.
Yeah. It does a lot of
There we
things.
go. All these little cute
We've been
little
doing
sayings,
it for so long that sometimes we just don't know what we're doing.
Well-
So we're like, have these volunteers and like, what are you doing? It's like, okay.
So yeah.
I assume you invent a lot of your own language here.
Yes.
Yes,
So
and when I
long.
was a family, we did too. People, when we communicate to each other, like, what did you just say to each other? Like, I don't know, but we understood it.
We just like short bursts. It's like
like,
one
done,
word.
he's
and
like, got it.
Got it.
Yeah, that's
Where
what
other people
happens.
need these long sentences. They're like boom, boom, boom. We're like, got it.
Awesome.
Understood.
But no, it's funny with the volunteers when they're learning, like especially like, planting or even the simple thing is we call it tamping down, but it's like they don't
Tamping down.
Tamping down is like whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like
spritzing,
spritzing
spritzing.
and like spritz the vegetables.
Like
and they're
what?
that.
Yeah. So we have a method to our madness.
Oh yeah, I tell
There's a
people that all the
Everybody has
time.
a
Quite a
method to
madness.
madness. So it makes sense to me. Other people look at you like, what you doing? But my dad came up with a thing with like the big thing back in the days was square foot gardening. He said, that's too far apart. I want it closer together. So he
Too
did
far
square
apart,
inch.
and it's
So-
more work really for
per
output.
Yeah, so he said square inch, and he puts it like
Square inch gardening.
square inch gardening because square foot is too far apart.
Too far. He's like,
Yes.
man, that's a waste of space
Yes,
between them.
waste
That's
space. I
8
agree.
inches of unused land.
You waste space and you do a lot of extra work for
It's
what you
8
get out.
inches of unused land right there.
If you
That
look
was
at
very
nature,
precious.
nature doesn't space.
Yeah.
There's no straight line in
Rows,
nature.
there's
There's
no
no
rows.
rows.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go like they look at they look at the back. Most beginners look at the back of a seed package and says tomatoes 2 feet on centers. It's like, well, in nature, it
Well-
may be 18, it may be 26, it may Don't
Yeah, but I always
make
use the
it-
shortest distance in
Yeah.
beds
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
that's for row cropping.
Yes.
You know, that's,
That's for a tractor to go through. We say.
amen. A tractor or at least a big
Yeah,
footpath.
exactly. So we
Don't
don't.
One of
overthink
the
it, don't
biggest
overcomplicate
questions
it.
we get is what method do you use? And we're like, mix of everything. There's
Yeah.
a little element of permaculture. There's a little bit of forest farming.
Yeah.
There's a little
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
Fukioka's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biotensive.
No-till.
And then there's us. It's
Yeah.
just
It's gotta be
growing up
what
this way.
works best, Taylor, for where you're
Yeah,
at.
exactly. Because people
Absolutely.
say whatever, and I'm like, you know what? You have to grow
One
to
size
your
doesn't
one
fit.
size, and you have to grow to your place.
Yeah.
Because the sun comes up this side, and it kind of does number with this, and then it's too
There's a
cold
couple
on that.
trees
So
in
we're
the way.
and then with us being in the city, you're having to deal with shade.
Right.
Structures. Whereas, like, if you're in
10 acres,
10
you
acres, you're just like, okay, here's my garden in the middle, nothing, and
Well,
here's-
I've got a
okay.
forest around my garden, and
Yeah, so it's-
geometry, and I've got a limited lot too. Mine's bigger than y'all's, but geometry really drives what I do, and it does. Any small farmer practically, unless they're just out in the wide open plains.
Right. So when we give the tours, it's funny because when you look at our neighbors who have lawn and a couple ornamentals, I mean, you look at that and go, wow, that's easy to take care of. They just grow their but here it's like, okay, it's like almost like not a headache, but it's like, okay, this grew too well, okay, that's not getting enough sun, because the edible landscape in the front yard, because there's so many levels and layers, it's like every year is a different adaptation, and it changes and evolves, whereas like lawn and ornamentals, like, wow, that's easy to upkeep.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
we
like-
go through the seasons when the sun angle goes overhead. It's
Mhm.
like, wow, there's very little, you say, you can see the difference because the sun angle's
Right,
like this side
right.
now. Now the neighbor's tree or the fence or something is
Right.
now affecting your crop. And if you're in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of acre, there's no shadows or no shade. It's like,
Right.
if you just realize that till it happened, we've been here so long, we have it's like 10 degree different in our backyard than the rest
And then
of
those pockets,
Pasadena.
those microclimates.
Microclimate.
Those little, we're on a microclimate, then the backyard has its own microclimates. Justin knows.
Oh, yeah.
What's gonna get colder in certain
Cold
areas,
pocket.
and then.
And next to a fence line or tree lines, a different
And then what we
microclimate.
do is you'll see, when you kind of go around a bit, you'll see that a lot of things are still in pots. It's because we move them. We move
Seasonal.
according to the season. So whatever's growing on this side and getting the sun, when it
Now
gets
they-
hotter, it moves to the north side of the house. So Justin's moving
So
along.
that-
So I have challenges with that. My challenge is that I have some things I grow that are tall, like okra,
Yeah.
or maybe if you grow corn, or I trellis tomatoes. And I'm practically forced to grow that on the north side so everything else gets sun.
Yeah.
But then you gotta rotate these
Yes,
things.
then there's the
So how do you rotate them? How do you manage that?
it's tough because of the location. So what our way to get around it is we amend the soil. So we're always amending the soil.
That's
So
what
we're
I
saying,
do mostly.
hey, the location's the same, but the soil's maybe
different.
50% different.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
it's
the
like
chicken coop gets cleaned out twice a year. I mean, not the chicken coop. I mean, it's like we do the
Chicken
deep litter.
compound.
You have the
The
animals.
deep litter method we do, that gets like cleaned out. They live generally on a
We
giant
bring
compost
out
pile.
20 trucks full of soil.
Hand it over to
of
Justin.
soil.
He mixes that into the garden
So it's
bed.
new
So it's
soil.
all new soil. It's like
Okay.
sometimes there
So-
might have been a little bit of a wilt in the soil that we have to watch over.
nematode
But
issue sometimes because the heirloom seeds and the tomatoes, the heirloom tomatoes are more susceptible to the nematode. So there's some issues there. So I try to rotate, but it's
we rotate the soil.
you have to realize that the shade of that tomato is going to cast on that bed, and that bed's going to cast on that bed, and then you do the pole beans, and the pole beans are going to cast that side. And if you do it right and work with, like last year, we were able to grow kale year round because it was in the shade of the tomato. So if you use the shade to your advantage and said
There you
it's
go.
too hot to grow
There
kale
you go.
in the middle of summer, and we got kale,
We're
just
pretty
one
good.
kale. I mean, it was there for 3 or 4 months in the middle of the heat.
So you could take your tall crops and move them
Shade.
down to shade,
Your-
stuff that you normally couldn't grow in the hot
In the middle
weather.
of things.
Bingo.
You can
That's
do that. You
that's
can do that.
beautiful advice.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, and there are people that do that, but just to codify that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that's essential. It's a good lesson for people to think of things like that.
But every time you think you know what you're doing, garden changes.
So what-
we
It's
never-
always a learning.
I know it's always
So
learning.
we have compost, so we put in 3 new raised beds in the front yard. It's on the
Wow.
north.
So you're gardening in your front yard
Yeah,
now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we
Special
have
edition.
the northeast corner of the property is like
It's like cold.
Shady.
cold shade, dark at that. So we filled it up with compost, and obviously it has seeds in it. So out sprouts the Trumpsino squash, vining squash, Italian zucchini, and it volunteers. It grows. It travels like 20, 30 feet. It's growing.
Grows around the house, goes up the porch, then
And then
goes down
over
the
the
stairs, and then over the trellis, and it's just
And I
like,
said-
So you're growing these big vining plants here on this small place? Holy smokes!
But here's the thing.
I gotta see this.
In the books, the squash should not grow in the north side on the shady side of a house. I mean,
But
just
it did,
it volunteered. Next year, now I know where to plant squash. We've
well,
been here
no,
35
baby, you
years.
shouldn't plant it. That's the thing. It grew on
I know,
itself.
but it's weird.
But that was you got to.
You know, I had turmeric come up in woods under the shade. I thought it really needed that full sun. It did great. And it's like, wow,
It was shocking because I'm
it's a
thinking,
huge plant. And you think this guy's got to have a lot of sun. That's what everybody tells you. But
Exactly. That was the song.
we had Dad's blueberry story was, we had blueberries here, couldn't grow worth the lick. We moved it up 6 feet over here, they grew like crazy. You said, well, just location, is like that. But the squash story is like, we've been here so long, he said, oh, I know all the climates, I know that what grows there, what doesn't grow there.
So we would have
Squash
never ever planted squash
Never
in the
planted
darkest corner of
of the yard. And there it
Wow.
volunteered, and it's still growing, and it's still
It
got
had to kill things in its past.
now is this
It's
specific to
December.
certain breeds of
It's a
squash?
Tomasino, it's Italian.
They'll show you, I think.
But it's December, obviously, because we're bundled up, and it's
Oh, yeah.
growing.
On the north side.
On the north side of the
And they're
house.
sitting
Yeah.
there like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a cold day in LA. Look at these guys, people, all bundled
We got
up here.
frostbite.
I know. It's just save us. We're freezing here.
And they're growing here on a cold day in LA. And admittedly, LA gives them some advantages in the climate for growing, but it does get chilly up here
Yeah, we
in the
did
hills.
surprisingly.
Yeah, foothills, this area.
We had hail just last
Well,
week.
last
Yeah.
Thursday we had
Oh, yeah, hail.
hail, and then the week of Halloween we had a
frost.
freeze.
Freeze. No, frost. Yeah, freeze. No,
We had a
sorry.
freeze
That was
and
the
it
first
was
time
back.
ever that
October.
early. That early.
First time ever in October, ever?
Yeah, so it was funny because
Well,
I
in our lifetime.
It's not funny.
It was sad.
No, but here's the thing. It was 90-some degrees. We're all in like
99
flip-flops.
degrees.
Yeah, and then boom, 2 days later.
We had the same kind of thing. We had like hot. We had like our hottest day in November. And then it got cold.
Yeah, same here.
And last year, our coldest weather was in November. It was like crazy last
It was
season.
weird because you say if the calendars had said December, I would have brought out the row covers, I would have bought the row crops, the plastic covers, I would have covered the bed. But it was October, and I saw the calendar, and it said, and we saw the weather forecast, it said 42 degrees at night in Pasadena, and the backyard's 10 degrees colder. So I was like, yeah, it's October. It's
And we were
99
just
degrees. It was 99 degrees last week.
So
I
with a
said,
small farm like this, with those kind of vagrancies and weather, I mean, you guys can't live on crop insurance like a big farm.
No,
You have to be more versatile, but yet your survival depends on this.
Yes.
Your essence depends on having crops, and weather can obliterate
Yeah,
everything.
what,
and
$2,000
diversity,
worth of-
you have to be diversity because the kids stay in business. We're small enough that we can adapt really fast,
Yeah.
like seasonal stuff like that. But this one quick snap freeze,
You
if you want
said
to call
what,
it,
$2,000 worth of loss?
2 weeks and about $2,000.
I've seen it.
Just one. I just made it with one. All I had to do was pull out the plastic. Put
Just
it on
got
the thing,
caught by surprise.
And I saw it on the forecast.
2
and
weeks
I
of
said,
sales, gone.
So I had to start new starts, had to turn over the beds, had to replant. So between the time and the 2 weeks of lost business,
About
Well,
2,000.
it was about $2,000.
I've been warning people on my channel, look, we're having late season rains in the springtime. And then we're having some odd early season frost and cold snaps. And I'm telling people food prices are going to shoot up.
Yeah.
That's all the more reason for people to grow stuff at
It
home.
already is.
Yeah.
Particularly with California, I mean, it grows what? Majority of like the supermarket food, I mean, what are we, the bread basket?
Well, they said that 60% of the produce.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
citrus is under attack.
And citrus under attack, and
and-
everything's probably under attack here
And
because
in
of
the stores, lemons, which you see used to jump your neighbors,
They'd be on
fence.
the floor.
They'd be on the
neighbors.
floor and picking up lemons. Lemons now $1 a lemon
a lemon.
in like
Supermarkets.
bonds.
Wow.
Supermarkets, and it's like we're not talking.
What, a couple of years ago,
avocados.
they were what, 30 cents or something?
Yeah.
Something like
And
that.
I'm not talking avocados, but then the avocado groves down south of us.
Yeah?
The freeze is creeping down.
Well, we had
It's
freeze,
not
and then the
like
last 2 years ago we had heat
Yeah.
So
So
the-
they said there might not be avocados growing in California.
because they water, the water prices, the drought, and the heat. So about 2 years ago, May or June of 2 years ago, it got
120.
It went from 80
Yeah,
to 115 degrees in, like,
18 sometimes. 20.
in 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we
That
have one avocado, Mexico avocado, and it basically could not transpire the water fast enough, could not pick up the water fast enough. And it just dropped all the avocados. Like 100, it was just like carpet bombing all these avocados up. And it's like, we have one avocado and we're not in the avocado business. But imagine if you had acres and acres of groves. And he said, well, there's still avocados in the store. A year later, we could not find avocados because they all dropped that one day.
Wow.
In California, avocados.
Yeah, California.
They all came from Mexico.
And he said, okay. And then
That's your what's called cold weather avocados. I think I bought a couple.
Mexico,
Yeah.
Maybe I should get some more. I didn't plant those.
If it rains at the wrong time, it knocks off the flowers. Like we had another guy who had cherry blossoms, cherry farm, and it gets cold, it rains at the wrong time, you're out of business for the whole year.
Yep.
Cool. So tell me, how did you set your CSA up? How'd you get it started?
Originally, our friend Gabriel, we would buy a box and just flip it. He was starting a farm and he said, I got a
farm stand.
We had a farm stand, sorry. We had a farm stand and we said, well, what about farm boxes? And I remember talking to Dad and said, we'll never do farm boxes. Absolutely never. We don't want to pack, nobody wants to pack farm boxes. Like, but, no, that's just
And how much of your business is that now?
95% of our It was just funny. It was a never. No,
but it's more efficient because here's the thing: we had a front porch farm stand, and people would come in at all different times, and it was like they wanted.
We didn't know what they
and
wanted.
I'd be like Justin would be here's the thing: Justin would be in the garden, Jody would be with the animals, I'd be canning or whatever, and then they were like, we want salad, and it's like. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 100 degrees outside. I'm like, sorry, we can't go pick it because of the weather. So it just got smart to condense. So actually, our farm stand customers, a lot of them transfer to the farm box program. And then, of course, we don't even advertise. It's word of mouth, and people are like, we want to sign up. I mean, the waiting list is massive.
Yeah.
So we heard of that.
You can only supply.
So we started like with a dozen or two dozen people, and it'd be like 12 boxes a week. So every other week it'd be like 12 boxes. I said, how much can we do? So we got up to 2 dozen, then it was 3 dozen. I said, okay. And then the paperwork, the accounting got a little crazy, and it was like, and then they sent out an email list. Then we started customizing the box. They just straight versus a.
But
they
would reply to emails.
So they would reply to emails. We cut and paste what they ordered, put it on the list, put it on the farm box, pack. Add it up, charge it, swipe it.
It was insane.
Add it in. And it was like, okay, how much could you possibly do on that? And then, we started going, and we started picking up steam. And then Dad died, and it was like, oh wow. And then one of our volunteers who was helping us with accounting, she had to move on too, and it was like, how am I going to do picking, packing, accounting, credit card processing, orders, packing slips, labels, stuff like that. And I said, no, I don't want to do software. That's just not. It's not.
It's a learning curve.
But it's not human. It's like it's not automation, and it's like okay, and learning curve because I'm technically I'm technology challenged. Whenever I figure out Facebook.
Hey, I'm a rocket scientist, and I get technology challenges sometimes.
It's just by the time I figured it out, it's just such a pain. I was like, okay, you got to add this thing, add it to your SKUs and all this other stuff. Like,
yeah.
Okay, but now we couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
I was like, the labels are printed, the packing slips are printed.
So repeat the name of the software package.
CSA Ware. It's
CSA Ware.
Local Harvest has a CSA.
Local Harvest.
And it costs $100 a month. But the amount of time, energy, and label that it saves is a thing I couldn't do without it.
Without manpower, you have to do that.
You have to, unfortunately, replace the person. The $100.
Or a couple people.
Two people. Yeah. It replaced the software, replaced the person to do the accounting. But now we realize.
Now, can you do payroll with this accounting features?
No,
you can't do that.
Just
for the CSA package.
It's not QuickBooks.
Dadgummit.
Like so maybe talk to them about it.
No, I know the software is for payroll when we get there.
But you didn't think about it. When somebody would come for the farm box, the original farm box, they would go there and we'd pick up our phone, log in, swipe their card, have them sign it, do like that. Multiply that by 24, by 36, by 50 boxes. Now it's automated. They just come, they see their label on the box, and it's all of it. And you say, well, how much free time did that create? Swiping 50 credit cards.
So for a new farmer, how would you suggest to them to set up a CSA from scratch using a system like that? How would they advertise and market it?
I would say
specifically?
First get a
base.
First work with other farms. because you'll never supply everybody.
Yeah.
It'll be really boring.
So you
Well,
have to have a cooperative with other adjacent
Yeah,
farms.
if somebody wants to grow carrots and you grow salad and somebody else grows apples,
Or something
Got
like that,
yeah.
and you say, well, nobody's gonna drive a mile to come to your farm and buy salad. Well, add carrots, add apples, add coffee, add
Most
bread,
guys.
add
They want
eggs.
everything.
Then it's a little everything. It's convenience. I mean,
They want a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
Add
unfortunately,
jam, add honey, and then so that the customer, the consumer wants to get as much as they can in one stop.
Oh, yeah, because
So you
it's
try
time on
to-
their
you
end.
try to do that, so, you know, we have a person, that backyard who brings their citrus in, and then the pomegranates, and the honey, and the thing. So then, when it makes it worth their while to invest in your farm box program, they said, because hey, I can get enough here, decently enough, that I don't have to go, you know, to the
And
market.
So you're packaging items from other farms into your boxes. How do you,
So it's a multi-farm.
do you buy them specifically from them? How do you handle them?
yes, it's
Wholesale.
yeah.
Okay, so you
We
buy wholesale from the other
wholesale,
farmers.
Not well. Sometimes
it's people
even
we
more.
know personally, good friends, you know, not
It's sometimes more
yeah.
than you get at Whole Foods. They say how much they need to their farm to survive. So let's say somebody wants $2 a bunch for carrots, and I'll mark it up 50%, and I'll charge $3. So I need to mark up to pay for the processing, pay for my time, pay for the thing. So and they say, well, I need $4 a pound, so I'll have to say, okay, I need a 50% markup. I need $6 because there's waste and turnover and stuff like that. So a lot of people, it's not for everybody, and you have to realize that and seasonal, teaching people seasons is our
But
hardest
we do have
thing.
quality.
We have-
People say that what we choose is quality.
Consistent,
Oh, yeah, quality.
Consistent quality, and even though if we're buying from other farms, we know those farmers. They come and hang out with us. It's like we're friends. We're not just going to,
produce market.
Produce Mart.
Now, do they also grow in their yards like y'all?
Yeah, we have people growing in.
Awesome. So have y'all helped stimulate growing in
Yeah,
yards
so a guy,
in this
he wanted
area?
to start a farm like we did, and he was like, well, I need money, and Justin was like, grow me kale. So he's starting a farm.
So the joke is that if I turn the whole yard into kale, I'd probably sell all of it.
We can't
But
keep kale
we can't do kale. So let's say on the farm box program, 1 week is my kale, 1 week's another guy's kale, and the other week's my kale. So it gives
Bingo.
me a break instead of like
Kale,
20
kale.
bunches of kale every week. I can't do that. Maybe 20. I'll do 20 bunches. He does 20. Then I do 20.
Well, that's good if you've got X number of 100-foot rows like some people do.
Yeah, and that's great. But I mean, for us, I can't. I have to diversify. So-
Have y'all followed Curtis Stone?
Yeah.
He farms other people's yards.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we're actually the people.
training the volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, it's like, we're more like a sharing, like a cooperative.
Yeah, I see
But
that.
we
So
also
another-
have like a lady who makes bread. She makes bread. She
She
gets
lives
orders.
just two streets over.
That
And
bread
you
is
add
in
that
the
to your
farm box.
boxes, your
Yeah,
CSA
yeah,
boxes?
we have bread. I did pies for the holiday.
Oh, so they get full meals. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're doing all
so-
the cooking. So that's actually part of the CSA box
Soup.
program.
The soup.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So here's the deal. So we have a couple.
So somebody's really getting their entire grocery list from you
Yeah.
guys.
So
That's
Eggs,
beautiful.
duck eggs.
So when you
Duck
have
eggs,
a
that's great.
customer and they said, I can't, a single person or a couple or thing, and they said, I don't need a box of greens every week. Fine, buy honey, jam, coffee, bread, and
Soup.
you could just have, one person bought 2 bags of coffee. That was their farm box.
Ah,
Because that fit.
They wanted to support us, they were going out of town and they bought a gift. So one coffee was for them, one for them. I was like,
Because we-
that'll work.
so y'all retail coffee too?
Well, I want to
Yeah,
know, one of
I
our clients that bought produce from a long time, their family went into coffee roasting, and they do single
Special.
source,
Organic.
fair trade organic coffee, and they have a special way of roasting it. That is a healthy way of doing it. And so they're like, would you say carry our family's product? We're like, sure, add it to the fun box. So
That's what we do. Is that is the
So you can basically buy jam, coffee, and honey in your farm box.
Nice.
And
Wow.
food
It
and
supports
pies,
us, it supports them.
baked goods.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily need produce like that. But we do have to teach people about seasonal, and our prices are higher because it's,
I would say they're farmers market prices.
but it's higher than Whole
Yeah,
Foods. and
yeah.
Amazon.
Have you ever sold at a farmer's market?
No, we don't have to.
So here's the.
I have done that. It's a lot of
Never
work.
say never. Never say never.
Oh, we'll never sell it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here's
know
the-
that way.
I heard a story about the CSA program.
Here's the story about farmers market. You pick and hope to sell.
Right, right. I know.
CSA,
It's sold and
it's
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 sold and then we
you
pick it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So-
And what? You never pick it.
You pick it only when it's sold.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Because
so
you have a list of orders.
it's sold.
It's sold before you even pick it. While the farmer's market, you bring 20 bunches of kale.
So you have no waste.
Exactly.
For a small farm, that's really crucial.
Yeah, mhm.
So you pick, let's say you pick 20 bunches of kale,
And you,
okay? And you go to the farmer's market, wait
hope
at the
to sell.
table, and you hope to sell 20 bunches of kale.
Yeah.
Now, some weeks on the farm box, our CSA farm box program, sometimes we sell 5 bunches of kale. Last week we sold 25 bunches of kale. So I'm not gonna pick 20 bunches on the 5-bunch week. So when I
Yeah,
pick
yeah,
five,
yeah.
We
I
have a
pick
list
5
of what to
bunches.
pick, and we pick it.
so like I said,
Nice.
it's sold before it's picked.
Yeah, so we
Nice.
don't pick it unless somebody buys it.
Nice.
Look
So,
at- we don't make it till you order it.
Yeah.
nice.
Who that is.
Burger King or something, yeah,
Have it your way, right?
That's pretty much.
Oh, the pickles, oh, the lettuce.
Pretty much.
Special orders,
Yeah,
don't
that's
upset
what-
us.
That's what
No,
our farm
we'll
box
jingle on
program,
that.
you know, we should have a little jingle.
Hey, I didn't know you was on remember that one.
But it's been a journey of like adapting as we go along. It's like, okay, what
You have to, when you're a small farm, you have to.
Oh,
what do we
yeah.
have to do now?
Oh,
What do
yeah.
we change it into
So the
now?
question is, what do we do next year? That's our.
People, where you going? I'm like,
We're heading, so it's December, we're looking at 2020, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Should
So,
we do microgreens? Should we do aquaponics? Should we do something like that to maximize or diversify and bring?
Well,
in-
I'm going into aquaponics because I think it's a good way for me and where I'm at to grow the lettuce, the salad stuff and year round. Plus I've got other notions for what to do with a little bit of that aquaponics water. And I think I can combine that with my worm business. And so I've got ideas along that line, but I'm just impressed. I think, year-round growing for lettuce. It's in summertime, you get some, you can cool the place down some if you use the right techniques, and hopefully don't run chlorinated water through your swamp coolers and
Well, the
contaminate
thing is,
everything.
Despite how small this place is and how packed it is still not its maximum.
yeah.
It's not at its maximum capacity
Yeah.
of production
Production.
in anything.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
It's like we know more can be done on this property and with projects, but we haven't. We just
Well, one we lost dad.
Yeah.
And then we had to basically
we had to
start from
rebuild,
scratch.
but yeah.
So it took us, the first year was just absolutely brutal.
Imagine.
And the second year, we stabilized the business. The third year, we're actually growing.
Well, I am impressed that you three have stuck together and have kept this thing going and have made it successful after the loss of
Yeah,
your
we
It
did.
dad.
took us
That's
3
been a
years
big
to
challenge.
get it back to pre-dad levels. Pre-dad's death levels.
And it's
3
still
years.
not maximum production.
We're probably at probably don't say anything
Yeah,
else,
But despite how much we do, more can be done.
Exactly.
That's what the weird
Always.
thing is. It's like
So you're
we could
growing
fit
a-
more stuff on.
So it's still true that y'all feed yourselves basically from
Yeah.
this farm?
Yeah, indirect and direct self-sufficiency. So
Yeah.
direct means from the garden to our table. Indirect means from our garden to your table. Thanks for the money we go buy
Stuff
chocolate and sugar.
Okay, yeah. Well, that works. That's,
Yeah.
And then
you're
let's see,
living off this farm.
Exactly.
You're absolutely living off
Living.
this farm.
Living.
Yeah, living on the farm. Now, as I said, so sometime, let's say I buy from the farm and I buy 20 bunches of carrots, and we only sell 10. We'll be eating 10 bunches of
So,
carrots.
or
I'm
that's,
making soup.
that makes the soup that I sell to the farm box.
The next week.
The next
So,
week.
and
So when you buy for your CSA boxes from other farmers, you're buying it in bulks within some amount of anticipation?
Sometimes I, order too much, or sometimes they don't have enough.
But we
So-
make it into something and sell it in food-wise to sell to people.
Fortunately, you have your food processor
Yes.
person here in the middle who can cook it and
You
can
can try
it
it,
and
you can
whatever.
cook it,
Yeah, you can do
Jelly it.
Can
Yeah,
it?
jelly it, that's jams, I can't keep up with the.
See, that's a special
every
technique.
fruit goes into jam, and we sell out
Sell
of every
every
jam,
jam.
and people like more jam.
Yeah, I tried to make some pepper jelly myself not
Oh,
long
love
back,
that.
and
Love
it was great at first, but then it went to sugar on me. It's like, I thought I followed everything.
Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Jalapeno.
Peach jalapeno is like one
Yeah.
of my favorites.
I had the green and the red, and it was good on crackers with cream
Oh,
cheese.
yes, that you found the secret. That one's awesome.
Not on peanut butter.
And on a cheese sandwich too.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese. You put it on
Aye,
cheese.
oh
Grilled
man.
cheese salad.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah, now we're talking.
So, when it comes to chefs, we kind of tease a little bit about their ego, but how do you find it best to manage and work with? How would it? Let me back up. How would you advise some novice in regards to approaching chefs, which I'm not much better than that?
Okay.
So,
And
what'd you say?
Because we were the ones.
I have
doing
the story for that. So So you can call them up, but see, they're busy.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, no.
They probably solicit you, like you. You're like, oh, if you get a phone call, you're like, whatever. So we did that. We called, and it wasn't working. And it was like, oh, it sounds good. We'll get back with you, whatever. So here's the story. So we have beautiful produce in the yard, right? And it was like, well, we can't see them. They're busy. They're on scheduling. But when you're available, they're working, and you can't show up. And
Bingo.
a lot of times. So what we did was we dropped. So one of the stories goes, we dropped off a sample box. So I walked in and I said to the receptionist, I said, could you just give this to the chef? It was a
business
box.
card, price
So I
list,
put a box of the beautiful produce that we had, tomatoes and stuff, and we put our business card in. I said, just give it to the chef in the back. I knew he's busy, but just give it to him. By the time
Before they even
before I
came
even
back,
got
he was
home,
calling.
he called and
He's like,
I want
that.
whatever you brought me. And we're like,
Once he saw
yes.
it, that's all they have to
Yeah.
do. They have to see
So
it.
you
Okay,
don't
you-
just talk or meet. No, give them a sample.
You know, I've done that, but I didn't have my business cards made up then.
Yeah,
Maybe
so put it in.
so now I do. Maybe this will make a
Yeah,
difference.
there you
Look at
go.
that. That's pretty cool. It's a fit.
But now I've gave just about all of them away to people other than using them for shelves, so
it's
we'll make them up for them.
That's pretty cool.
So
You like that, Lego?
So sometimes, like I said, actually the produce speaks for itself. If you just show it to them and give it to them.
You have to find that, unfortunately for us, you have to realize we have a limit on supply, and the pricing is premium. So if you go
But your product is premium.
sometimes the mom and pop guys can't afford you, or if you go to a chain,
They want mass.
they want you to supply their whole chain, because it's a thing. So we have some relationship with 10, 15, 20 years with some
caterers
private chefs,
and private chefs.
and they know what we have, and they're willing to pay our price. And
Because they can.
And they come up on your porch and get it.
Yeah,
well,
well, just to have another story, one of clients, he would just buy the flowers for like catering. When he had catering, he would say, okay, I'm gonna make it pretty, buy flowers. And we kept trying to say, why don't you buy some of the produce? He's like, no, you understand, I'm a small guy, I can't afford your produce. We could understand. We just said, why don't you put it up in his cafe, why the salad's more expensive.
Just do one
Just
salad.
one salad. We said, put a salad out.
We can't do all your
and tell the
salads.
story, why it's a little more pricey. Pass on the price to the customer.
Yeah.
He did the story, he put the name, and he said, the Urban Homestead salad was the most popular selling salad. 'Cause once the customer
Understood.
knew why they were paying extra $2, they were
For
like,
this one
you mean that was
salad."
grown a mile away?
That's a
I
great
want
marketing
that."
point. See, that's one of my challenges. A lot of the restaurants where I'm at, they sell just cheap, simple iceberg salad and mixed with
You can't compete
regular
with that.
tomatoes and just like
He was
nothing.
so
All their
right,
food's
he
like
told the
that.
story, and he
So-
sold it.
So I call it plop the slop restaurants. They just take whatever they got and plop it down and sell it for the cheapest possible. And so you got that. I mean, it's hard to find in my area restaurants that are actually locally owned. The chain restaurants are just almost
that's a tough.
unapproachable. 'cause
LA
they-
has so
The
many.
one thing about our location is that
lots of independent restaurants.
Yeah, so you want an independent restaurant that has a decent
thinking chef that's
Yeah.
willing to experiment.
bingo,
Well,
bingo,
But a little bit of a budget.
good clientele, high-end
A
clientele.
little bit of a budget, because one of our best clients is a country club.
and
Ah,
it's like
and
it's
it's-
wealthy country.
A country club, you say, well,
No, they're
we
definitely
go through the
chain owned.
servant's entrance, we go through the back entrance, and it's like.
Dad would wash the car before he drove.
One time he washed the car.
One time,
One time
Because
he
we
washed
have
the car
beavers.
and he delivered to the country club. So that's the story. It was like the one day a week that he washed the car was when he went to. The car's 35 years
I have a
old.
car's washed. It's time to check out the country club.
When you drive into the parking lot, like, no
Nothing's over
car is
2
like
years.
older than 2 years old, and you're just like,
Yeah.
But this is it's
I wash my vehicles at least once every 3 or 4 years, whether they need it or not.
It's the oldest country club in Pasadena, and you know what? The chef is amazing.
He's a great guy.
and he's a great guy, and he wants to support us. And he's like,
Great.
if we have the money because of our members, why
Why can't
why
I
not
support?
support a local farm? And it just makes sense. So if the money is there for them at their discretion to buy good food, then why not support a local farm? So if they're able to,
and he
it
gets
works
good
with us.
feedback.
Yeah,
and
and he loves it.
you learn that when the chef gets rave reviews
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
customer,
Then it
they
makes
come
them
back
come
to you.
back, yeah.
It's like this, You said egos, right?
Yeah, he's a
So when one of the chefs, he's a private chef, he just loves people just rave about the food that he gets from us because it's fresh. And so he comes right back to us and he's
And then
willing to
he
pay that.
invite us to his farm dinner, create a farm dinner, have a 10-course meal.
We show up, meet the farmer.
Meet the farmer and have a story behind it. Like it was grown a mile down the road.
I think that's what I think that's what makes things special now. Is it because everything's is now I'm learning more. Is like with the social media, it's impersonal. It's telling the story behind. So if you can show up in person and tell the stories behind this how this came, I think that's that connection. Because with you when you gather around a table, food is the connector.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So here's the thing. So as we gather, we tell the stories. I think it is the stories that connect us to the ground, to the farmer, to the chef. It's a growing story.
When people always, what do you believe, what's your thing, we all have to eat.
Yeah.
Amen to
So
that.
all have that in common. You may have the different political beliefs, different religious beliefs, but we all have to eat.
We all have to eat.
It all comes down to food. So, and good food is universal.
And you know what? We need things to unify our society more these days. We are being so polarized, it's insane. And so if we can find common things like this to pull people together and get them
You have a farm
past.
dinner with local food, local artisan, local like that, and the food speaks for itself, and you'll have people from different walks of life enjoying everybody's company.
There we go. That's
Yeah,
correct.
we've had amazing farm dinners back here, and we personally know some of these people, and they're sitting at this long table, having a grand old conversation. And sometimes I've sat on that porch looking at these people. I'm like, on social media, you guys would be bashing each other.
Oh yeah,
We're having
yeah.
a great time.
That's good.
We're just
That's
like
good.
connecting, and you just realize how vastly different they are, and how.
They wouldn't probably be friends on Facebook, but they're talking to each other across the table.
And
And I have subscribers from both sides of the political spectrum,
we have
and
that.
sometimes they bash each other in the comments. It's like, oh really, guys,
Keep
come
it
on.
civil, guys.
So by the way, so just talking about your origins, I see this wonderful picture here, this house when y'all first moved in, with you guys as children standing out in front of it. And it looks so different today with everything growing around it. And we're sitting in this beautiful little
It's the
studio
garage.
here.
It's the garage.
And this is what the studio used to look like.
It's the garage, actually.
Yeah.
Now it's a workshop space. And
And this was, I guess, the
Our
beginnings
first
of your
garden.
garden, your first garden.
Garden.
Long way from what you have today.
Yes, you can see that's the neighbor's house, but you can see the patio there and our
it's
swing
kind
set.
of a dump.
Oh, yeah.
And then here the other concrete patio, and we'll show you around.
Concrete
So-
patio. Oh, yeah, those don't help gardening very much unless you want to put potted plants on them.
And that's a good view from the original start, before.
So you can see the patio there. And
Okay.
been through, if you've been following us, have been through different changes.
Yeah.
We worked at the concrete in Thanksgiving 2005.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Got rid of the
Show 'em around
concrete.
the front. I can take the plastic off the
Yeah,
back,
so we can show them around.
Oh, that's a step toward rewilding, you know.
Reuse.
All right, so I tell you what, you guys are just an amazing family. I mean, I've been just awed by you. I've mentioned you guys in a few of my videos.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Appreciate that.
And of course, I'm glad you're all Facebook friends of mine. And I hope other people don't get into bashing y'all and vice versa.
Oh, wow.
There's many people that have so many different political spectrums out
We
here.
do what we need to do no matter what happens.
Bingo,
So
there you
one
go.
thing we always say, it's like, if you follow us, we've been in the media or something,
We'll
and
do
it's
this
like,
or whatever.
we would do this even if everyone hated us.
Or didn't pay attention.
Awesome.
We would do it regardless of whatever.
We
This
like
is
it.
this
We
is
like it doing it.
this is what we love
Well,
to do.
I did a video talking about technological proliferation and how that's actually a threat to us.
Yeah, it
A
is.
huge threat. A lot of people don't realize this, the proliferation of technology, that if we don't learn to get along, that absolutely will wipe us out
Yeah,
X years down the road.
That's a good
Absolutely.
point. That's a good point because actually I have to go find it. It came to my Facebook feed and I was busy, but they interviewed some guy. He's like he has things after his name, so he's
He's bona fide?
He's bona fide. So they interviewed
Bona
him.
fide.
He is also he teaches wild skills, survival skills, and so forth and so on. And he said he has come to the fact that yes, the collapse of civilization or any collapse. Yes, survival skills are needed and so forth, but he said what is going to get us through is kindness, empathy, and understanding. He said, yeah, you can know how to do a fire, but if you cannot be kind and empathetic to somebody, we're not going to get through this. And I thought that was unusual because everybody's like pushing survival skills and pushing this and that. And so I want to actually read that article, but it is interesting. It's like we need to basic human decency and kindness.
Technology is going to be the end of this civilization.
We have to learn to get along.
Exactly. And speak to each other and listen.
Yeah.
Listening is a lost art. Just to sit there and listen to someone's. I had this conversation with a friend. She's like, we have a difference of opinion. You're sitting there listening to me. Hey, I can listen to you. You got good points. And people, they want to blah, blah, blah and talk. And it's like, how about just listening to someone else for a little while?
The anonymity of the internet doesn't help. There's a lot of hate, and versus if you said
face to face.
Face to face.
Would you say, the thing is with ask yourself, would you say what you're saying, what you're writing to face?
Oh yeah, another YouTuber and I were having a conversation on our commenters saying the exact same things just yesterday. Rex Bear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was having to leave today. He might have been up here. He's got 331,000 subscribers in his channel. But
technology is a tool. Depends on how you use it. Just like anything else, a car, a gun, whatever like that. Unfortunately, we're so tied to it now that if it goes out, we were born before the internet.
Right.
I feel sorry for the people that that's all they know. That's all that we grew up playing in the dirt. We grew up without television. Right. But if you're from now, certain generations don't even have, not even aware of before the internet.
It's every once in a while. Sometimes I leave my phone somewhere and it's like, cool, I'm fine. Or I sometimes don't have internet where I am. I'm okay. But I've seen it. Like people get.
Well, kids get in panic mode if they don't have their panic mode.
It's a fix.
I still have to.
There was a kid who killed a parent because they were suspended from their iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's just crazy stuff. I mean, they're addicted, like heavily addicted to these things.
It's good to know every once in a while. I'll go without technology, or how to service something. Like, it's good to know I'm okay. I'm kind of proud of them. I'm like.
But we just talked about the CSA software. Everything's processed on credit cards, and 99.9% is not cash anymore.
Yeah, nobody does.
And to stay in business, we need a merchant account. To stay in business, we need software to process that.
Technology itself is neither good or bad. It's how we people use it.
Exactly.
And if it's allowing us to divide ourselves, then we're going in the wrong direction. We have to find the means to come back together and be civil with each other and respect differences. I mean, we may not agree. And politically, we may stand 100% apart, but it don't mean that you should not be friends. I mean, it shouldn't be that we're all ready to go to war with each other. No. Because in the end, we can't survive. My video on that was called "A Nuke in Every Pot," because I thought it's like a chicken in every pot. I thought people would say, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
But it really didn't do that well. It's like, really? But I think it's because YouTube demonetized it right off the bat because they thought it was about promoting war, and it was the opposite. 100% the opposite. So I tell people in my videos, I'll talk about Iran, I'll talk about Iraq, I'll talk about China, and what I tell them is that if you go to these countries, including Russia, and I've been to Moscow, the people are the same. People are the same anywhere in the world. It's not the people, it's the governments, it's the organizations, and they pit us against each other.
It's corporations.
Yeah, corporations. We've got to learn how to get through that on a person-to-person basis. And as you've mentioned, one of the most common denominators is food. We all get together to eat. And you guys are having your events here on your porch. And you're seeing that you can get people of a diverse spectrum together and they can enjoy each other's company.
Yes.
And we may not agree on this thing, but if you find the things that you can enjoy together and agree on, that's the starting point.
That pie was good.
I bet that pie was good because he baked it right out of these.
It always comes down to, as long as you continue to control the technology, when it starts controlling you, your emotions, then there's a problem. I once got a waitress job, and I was hired on this one fact. Could you count money without a cash register? Could you make change?
Yeah, no.
And I was like, yeah. And they're like,
It's nothing, to us.
The lost art among the young people. The lady was like, if I gave you money and you could make change, and she was just like, oh wow, you still can make change. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of older than anything.
Yeah. It's like I've been to a Burger King window and the guy says it's 10:01 and I got like a 20, so I gave him a 20 and a penny. I said, just give me back a 10.
And he doesn't get it.
And then they just look at me like a deer in the headlights. It's like, are you kidding me?
everyone disable the next generation, write everything in cursive, put all the cars in stick shift. And Dervaes Farms, they said make all the cars, they said you disable an entire generation, wait, cursive, stick shifts, and
Yeah, no caller ID, no thing, no listen to the radio.
Just wait till all the cars are driverless.
People are like,
oh my goodness.
what are you doing?
Oh, you have to let it go back.
I know, good show.
Or ding
There was a
yourself.
joke, they said there's
Ding
nothing you
yourself.
can't satisfy of like slamming down the receiver of a cell phone, right?
Yeah, that was
It's a
like,
comedian. It's
that
like,
was funny.
He says when you get in an argument with someone on the phone, you used to slam it down on the receiver. You can't do that, you're like,
Oh.
a cell phone.
Oh, yeah, you can't have that effect. I mean, slam!
that's a $700.
They'd hear it on the other end. That's something. Oh, they weren't
You
happy.
don't drop this. Don't
$700 iPhone.
So now he's like, and I'm mad at you.
That's funny.
It was actually really good. I'm like, yeah, there's that satisfaction. Bam.
Oh, we're so deprived now. And this is the lovely lady and niece in her work center, the kitchen, the home kitchen. Very old-fashioned type kitchen. So, beautiful stove, oven, simple, nice, tight workspace, and get everything done. So, anything you'd like to say about the kitchen, niece?
No, it's just yeah, a lot of just things that go on here. So because we have our, like I said, the co-housers now. So we have some of their this is like a steamer.
Their personal
coffee
items
stuff.
for cooking
Yeah.
and.
But then the stove is where a lot of things happen. And yeah, I love cooking, so.
Awesome.
Then we have our compost, and then we have another composter down here, recycling. So we try to keep everything,
Hey, you might want to try some worms for your kitchen waste
and then
compost.
we still have old-fashioned things like my juicer's hand powered too. So
Yeah, do you have hand-powered grinders and such
yeah,
too
I
also?
still do have that. Yeah, so I'll
That's
have
what I
that.
thought.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. So let's go outside. The garden tour. So that concludes our first segment of the interview with the Dervaes family. Please watch the next segment soon to come on the garden tour. That will be covered in a segment soon to come. And to see that segment, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and click the update notification bell to get notification of that and my many other videos to come. And if you like gardening, please consider buying worms from me, because you can recycle your garden waste and make the best stuff you can ever put in your garden and your plants. www.greengregswormfarm.com, link below. You can order your seeds for your garden. Heirloom seeds is what you're going to need, especially for prepping. And you can grow indoors and buy all your indoor microgreen supplies from True Leaf Market, link below. And for pepper supplies, of course, My Patriot Supply. Thank you for watching.